everyone, welcome to a HeroArts video. It's Sherry Carroll here to show you a color pencil technique. I'll start you off by walking you through some of my supplies. I have my inks and my stamps, and these flower stamps are perfect for color pencil techniques. I have Memento ink if you want to use your Copics with your pencils, and also Hero Hues black ink. I also have a Pentel white eraser, and it ejects the eraser so you can use how much you want at a time. And this also is another Pentel eraser, but it's just in a triangle type tip. So those are my white erasers. Before I get started on my coloring, I wanted to show you how I store my pencils. I use little canning jars, and I just keep the silver rims on the top, and I kind of go by color, so blues and greens, oranges and pinks, and then my other one has purples and browns. And also for the pencil sharpener I use a rotary type pencil sharpener, which gives me a really nice long lead and a sharp point. When choosing my colors for my images, I like to choose light and darks of each of the colors I'm using. So I have light and dark green and turquoise, and also a white color pencil. This one I use quite a bit for blending and softening of my images. Prismacolor also makes a blending pencil which also smooths out the colors, and I usually keep this tip a little bit duller than my sharpened pencils. Here's how my finished flower will look. If you notice, I have dark and light areas and also really white areas, and this is all done by using my color pencils, my eraser, and my white pencil. For added texture, when I was done coloring, I stamped it with the envelope pattern using soft sand ink. Okay, so now I'm ready to get going on my coloring. So I've chosen the darkest color. I like to start with the darkest first for the blossom. And I'll just start outlining areas of the image. So I'm using heavy pressure, and I'm just following the line of the stamped image. So I'll be referring to heavy, and heavy is by using really heavy pressure, then medium pressure, and light pressure. I use all three of these in all the techniques that I'll be showing you. So right now I'm using the heavy pressure. And I'm going to be speeding up my video as I go to save some time, but what I'm doing is outlining all around the dark line images with heavy pressure of my darkest color. I also turn my page around so I can get better angles and try to keep everything consistent. So just keep continuing on until you have the entire inside of the image colored. Now I'm using a medium pressure, and what I'm doing is I'm pulling from the dark area towards the center to get a lighter tone than the darkest color. And once you're happy with that coloring, you can now move to your lighter pencil, and using medium pressure, go back over to start blending. So this gives you a little bit lighter shade as you move towards the center. Now I'm ready to start smoothing with my white pencil, so I'll just go ahead and go over the most inside edges, and I'm pulling the color towards the center. I'm also going around and recovering all of the darker edges, and what it does is just blends the pigment of the pencils right into the paper. This is also helpful to cover any mistakes or cover up any of the hard lines you may have gotten while you're coloring. And now I'm coloring my stem and my leaf, and I'm using the darkest green pencil and heavy pressure, and I'm just following the line of the stamped image, getting into all the little detail, using long strokes and short strokes until I'm happy with that coverage. Now I'm working into a medium pressure, pulling the color towards the center, And I'm using shorter strokes on the little pod because it's a smaller area. And now I'll move to my lighter pencil, and again I'll kind of recover and using a medium pressure start pulling this color into the center. To get a more natural look to my leaf, I'll be spreading out my lightest color a little bit further and extending it along the line of the leaf. And here I'm just going back over the darkest color to kind of blend this a little bit more and add a little more yellow to the leaf. Now I'll be using my white pencil to go ahead and start smoothing and pushing the pigment into the paper. I'm pulling around the color and pushing it towards the center so that it lightens up in the very center. You could really see the blending happening when you're in a small area such as the pod, where it all starts to take shape and it looks like light is hitting the center of the flower. Of course, color your stem as well. As I look at this, I think it needs a little bit more yellow, so I'll go back in with my lightest pencil and just add a little bit more color. And once again, I'll go back over with my white pencil and blend those colors together. And now I'll use my eraser, which cleans up the whole center area and does even more blending. Plus I can erase the color pencil off the black lines. And for the top of the flower, I'll use a little bit heavier pressure than I did on the actual flower blossom. This way it'll stand out a little bit more. So in moving to my second pencil, I'm still using a heavy pressure and just kind of pushing it towards the outside. And next I'll go in with my white pencil and I'll blend that to the very edge of the image. And when I'm done blending with my white pencil, I can go back in with my eraser and clean up around any areas that I might have gone out of the lines or lighten up my edges. And next I'll be adding color to the background, and I'll do some shading around with that as well. And I have some real natural tones, beiges and light browns. So I'm going to start with my lightest color first, and I'll just cover the entire background with one color. So now I'm using a little bit darker pencil, and I'm going in and I'm creating a nice drop shadow around my flower. So I'm just following the line of the image and I'm kind of pulling the pencil away from the stamped image. You can use circular or small strokes for this. I choose to do small strokes, and then a lot of the times I turn my paper so I get a different direction going on. But here I'm just kind of going in with medium pressure, pulling it out, and then I'll end up going back in with heavier pressure to get a little bit darker line. I want you to remember this is how I happen to do it, and if you find any other techniques that work the best for you, certainly go ahead and try that. But so many people have asked how I color my images, and I thought doing this video would be great. I missed a little spot with my light color, so I'm going back in, and here I turn my page again so I can get a better angle, and going back in on the other side of the flower, I'm adding my dark lines again, circular and stroke. So just keep continuing working the pencil into the paper and make sure you get all the little areas, little details. And if you notice, I'm using kind of different angles as I go around this flower. And I'm just pulling out my shadowing just a little bit more. And now I'm going in with my blender pencil to soften all of my lines. I won't be using a white pencil on this area because it'll change the color. So this is just pushing the pigment right into the paper and smoothing everything out. To finish everything up, I'll go back in with my eraser and I'll start cleaning up and start blending my beige colors. And this just kind of lightens everything up. And I'll get the other side. And I can also go back in around and lighten any of the areas that I think might be a little too heavy and erase the color from top of the stamped image. Here's another peek up close of my colored flower and the stamping I did with the envelope pattern on top. To finish things off, I've attached my flower to a little thank you ATC. For more inspiration and ideas, please visit us at www.heroarts.com. And thanks for watching.